Hey, QVS US History students. Well, you've near the end of week one, and I have to say that I've been really impressed with the degree of interaction, both on the Teams chat and on the Moodle page, particularly with the initial forum on the compelling question. I had the opportunity to meet with some of you this week, and I'd still look forward to meeting with others. But one of the points that I emphasized in the early meetings is the approach that we are taking in the U.S. history class this year, and how the unit project is related to that approach. So, in that first introductory forum, I presented you with a compelling question and asked you what are your initial thoughts on the compelling question, and just to give me some idea of what prior knowledge you already have about U.S. history. Well, the compelling question is really related to those 9 different periods that you gave me a whole bunch of great information on, and the approach that we are taking, which is inquiry. So the goal is that by the end of this unit, you will develop an answer to that compelling question through the inquiry process. So at the beginning of every unit this year, we will present you with a question. We'll discuss the question, what you already know about it, what are some supporting questions that you can ask about that compelling question. And then through the course of the unit, I will give you like content knowledge and information, and then you'll also have to kind of gather sources to draw some conclusions about your thoughts on the compelling question. And then at the end of the unit, some type of product of learning will be created, whether it's a PowerPoint presentation or an essay or a persuasive speech. It can come in many, many different forms, but essentially we have to end with some type of product of learning. So in this first unit, a lot of you already read about the project, which is good because I wanted to introduce it to you in the first week. And to walk you through the process, I'm not giving you options. So I'm essentially forcing you into a claim by giving you the response to the compelling question, and then giving you the responsibility to research a time period and gather information and put it together in a PowerPoint presentation to defend the claim that I'm giving you. Like I talked about with some of the students in my earlier meetings, every claim that I gave has relevancy. Like there is reason for someone to say that the earliest period in U.S. history has had the most lasting impact, where there's other relevancy to saying the Civil War period, that middle period, has had the most or greatest lasting impact. And the same can be said of the 20th century. So I didn't give any group a claim that cannot be substantiated. There is relevancy in every single one of them. I know I kind of sound like a broken record, but I just want to kind of emphasize that point. So I'm forcing you into a claim. And the other thing that I've done is I've put you into groups. So like I'm not letting you choose which claim you are associated with. I just kind of randomly placed people in different groups, and I'd encourage you to work in groups. Okay, so I'm making this video just to emphasize that point, and I'm going to go to the instructions for the project so that people can use this weekend along with finishing your concept map, but use this weekend to kind of wrap your head around the claim that you're being forced to make, whether or not you want to work in a group. Are you going to create subgroups within the group, which is fine with me. And I'll kind of like explain that further when I go on to the assignment page. But these are some things that you got to think about this weekend, because the project is due on September 30th. You have to orally present the project. And that can come either in video, where you're recording yourselves kind of like I am here in this situation right now, or we'll meet in Teams, and then your group will have to present to me in a Teams call the presentation, the PowerPoint that you created, and the conclusions that you drew related to the claim that I'm forcing you into. I hope that all makes sense. If it doesn't, I'm happy to meet with you or write in chat to help clarify that so that you have a greater understanding of your responsibility. But I really want to emphasize the importance of this weekend and thinking about it, because the time will go fast and we have to start kind of working toward that big final goal. Next week will be all about you learning about the different periods, even though many of you have some great prior knowledge, but I have a whole bunch of activities programmed on the page to give you more information about those periods. So, and then knowing what you're forced to claim, you can kind of pay extra attention in the activities that you're doing next week that are related to the time period that you have to defend. So, and again, I will reiterate that in my week 2 video, but I want to go to the page. And for those of you who maybe didn't open the assignment project yet, I'm going to open it up and just kind of go through it again so that it's clear for everyone and what you need to do. Okay, so if I take you to the course page, in Essential Unit 1, so here are those 9 periods, right, that you've been talking about in this introductory forum. Really impressive work. I'm happy with what you've been doing in the forum. Lots of questions about the case study reading. This is going to give you a good overview of U.S. history, and you really need to try and get this concept map done by Sunday night. Some people asked if they have longer. Essentially, near the end of the unit, there will be a test over this case study. So the earlier you get it done, the more time you have to study it, is the answer to the question in terms of can you have longer. But this is what I want to talk about in this video today, this introduction to the unit presentation, and the note here that it's due by Friday, September 30th. So I'm going to go ahead and open this up and then give you more context for what needs to be done. Okay, so here are the 3 groups. I've divided you into group A, B, and C. And you can see that there's between 4 or 5 or 4 and 6 students per group. And each of the groups, A, B, and C, are assigned 3 periods, or like the 18th century, the 19th century, the 20th century, the beginning time period, the middle time period, and the end time period. That is the focus of your PowerPoint presentation. So you're going to have to present in a PowerPoint some major events, important people of that entire century, okay? And I know with group 1, you guys have a little bit longer, but arguably, because we're talking about U.S. history, maybe you really want to focus on period 2 and 3, since that marks the beginning of British permanent settlement in North America. So that could be more your focus. But anyways, you see the people who are assigned in your group. I really like to encourage you to work beyond your school and try and make connections to other QSI students abroad, but I also understand the difficulties related to that. I also want to emphasize the point that you don't have to work in a group. You can do this all by yourself. You're probably taking on a little bit more work in doing that, but it's definitely acceptable to me for you to work independent of the other people who are listed up there. I'm definitely going to offer support. So whenever you're confused, if you write to me and ask questions, I can offer you support and resources and maybe places to look for information. You do have 4 weeks. Your presentation has to be a PowerPoint. It could be Google Slides, but something of that sort. And your presentation has to respond, like in the conclusion of it, to the compelling question. But this is where I say I'm forcing you into a claim. If you look down here in blue, group A, they have to claim that the 18th century was the period in U.S. history which most define America. So this would include like British settlement and the Revolution and even the writing of the U.S. Constitution. Whereas group B, the claim that you all are forced into is the 19th century was the most defining period. So you all would present on the industrial age and the division that led up to the Civil War, and then the U.S. Surviving that conflict and reunifying. Okay, and then finally, Group C, you all need to argue that the 20th century was that time when the United States really took a major role on the world stage. So I need to emphasize that point. You are forced into that claim, okay? Consider working in a group. Plan a time to meet with your team. So if you are going to work in a group, then part of our class periods will be like you actually meeting with your team and dividing tasks, decide who's going to do what. If you do a Google slide and you're far away from each other in different countries, you know, that can be worked on independently, like if you guys share a common document. So there's ways that you can collaborate in that regard. Agree upon a set of deadlines for each task. Someone's going to have to collect information related to events on the timeline. Someone needs to collect images. Maps are always good that are representative of a period. You guys got to decide who the important people, what are the important events for your presentation. And then you really want to make sure that the presentation is edited ahead of time. I'm happy to edit, but you have to share it with me. You cannot share it with me on September 30th and ask me to do it at that point in time. So if you're going to ask for help in terms of edits, please send it to me like at least 3 or 4 days before you plan on presenting. And then make sure that your Google slide presentation or PowerPoint has an overview of the time period, outlines important people and events, explains how those people and events define the period, and then has a persuasive conclusion that defends the claim that I am forcing you into, okay? You need a title slide with all the names of your partners, images, maps to enhance the information on the slides, detailed research with evidence to support the claim that you've been assigned, a slide with references. So this needs to be at the end, like a works cited or bibliography page, and the use of proper grammar and spelling. Send it to me ahead of time for revisions and edit if you like. And then finally, as I said earlier, you have to present it. Now, we don't have to be in a video call for you to present. You can record your presentation, or we can arrange a time on Teams to meet and for you to present. If for some reason you don't get to present on September 30th that day, I at least have to have the link to your final project by that day, and then we'll arrange some time later in the week when we all can meet and get together, okay? So I just want to emphasize that. Think about it this weekend so that you understand where this unit is leading to toward the end of September, again, September 30th, okay? And it's not your only work for week 2. I'll make a separate video about week 2, but I've got all kinds of activities here that, to be honest with you, are not going to take you that long, but they're going to expose you to important periods and events within the context of U.S. history. I also included a website here for support. Consider using it. It should be helpful because it completely addresses those different time periods in U.S. history, gives a timeline, gives primary sources, essays on that topic that you've been assigned. Okay, so I hope this helps. Watch this video. I hope you're watching this video. Sorry, it's at the end of the day. I'm kind of like revved up right now and excited about the project, but I hope this helps. Please contact me if you have questions because I am super happy to help. Okay, bye.